do this here. And if you got a moment, please in the comments let me know that, just say hi, hello, present, just to let me know that people are still interested in this type of content so I can keep making it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. And for those reasons, whenever you guys leave a nice comment or just say hi, then I can also feel motivated to spend more time. Okay, all right, let's get into it. First ticket here, excuse me, we have is Outlook issue. Now, keep in mind, we're going to talk about these issue in a way where I provide multiple solutions, multiple possible solutions. To keep the video going, obviously I can't access these people's computers and stuff, because time constraint, organizational issues, and all of that. Okay, first thing first, I'm going to assign a ticket to myself. Excuse me, my throat is getting dry a little bit here. And this ticket is from Ryu Tao. I hope I said your name correctly. Thank you very much for submitting this ticket. And it's Outlook issue. Every time I search for people in Outlook, it freezes my Outlook. I turned off the hardware acceleration and I turned off cache mode, repaired Outlook, repaired Office, and uninstalled and reinstalled Office 365, no change. So what he's talking about here, and I'm going to zoom in video in post. Well, maybe I can zoom in here a little bit. Here we go. Well, it's all blurred out. But every time you use Outlook to search for people, what the computer does in your app, it goes through the database, in this case of people who are in Outlook, like contacts and such. A computer, the way it does this is through indexing. What indexing does on a computer, it goes through the words within the documents and it kind of caches them, meaning that it saves that information for later so we can access it faster. So instead of going through, thousands and thousands of different documents and stuff like that, it will store this data in an index. And I'm going to pull it up how it looks like on the computer itself. If you just type in index in search bar, it will come up. This is just indexing option on your computer. So, and indexing heavily depends when it's doing it. When it's doing it for the first time, heavily depends on the speed of your computer. And looking at the screenshot here, it kind of looks like he's using, well, he mentioned he's using the actual application on the computer. So in this case, it is using your computer to search to use indexing to search through Outlook for people, for contacts. Now, it sounds like you've already done some troubleshooting, which are, definitely some things I would look at. Search it says, I turned off hardware acceleration. Now, hardware acceleration is usually a good thing, but it can cause a problem. I've seen hardware acceleration cause a problem in like things like a video playback and this and that. But if you turn off hardware acceleration, what it does, it turns on software acceleration, which can actually be slower. So, but I'm assuming you kind of went on the internet and tried different things, which is perfectly fine. In this case, I don't see it causing a problem at all, even if you keep it turned off. And then you turned off cached mode, which it stops the Outlook in this case from caching any data, for faster access. Caching, that's what that is. Every time you cache something is like you save it for later so it's faster to access, similar to indexing. Uh, but it's usually used for like data processing rather than word search. Indexing is specifically used for word search. Well, the word indexing comes from literally index, like on your book. When you open up a book, there's an index on it of things that are inside the book. Like the first page you open, and there is the first thing you see is an index. chapter 1, blah blah blah, chapter 2, blah blah blah, stuff like that. And you repair the Office, which as a last resort, you can certainly do that. Uninstall or installed Office 365, which inherently reinstalls the Outlook. And there is no change. So what else could be the issue? Now, let me just kind of go through here. I'm going to click here where it says how does indexing affect searches, just to kind of talk about it a little bit more. But we'll see if we have a solution for this, because this is something you have to try on your computer. And here it is. Just to kind of go do an overview, what information is indexed. By default, all the properties of your files are indexed, including file names, full paths, and full file paths. For files with text, their content is indexed to allow you to search for words within the files. See, it's kind of the same thing that I just kind of mentioned. And it says here which apps use index. It says here many of the built-in apps on your PC use index in some way, including File Explorer, Photos, and Groove, and I don't know what Groove is. It uses it to access the track changes to your files. Microsoft Edge uses it to provide browser history, results, and address bar. And Outlook uses it to search your email. So this kind of tells us that Outlook does use it, but doesn't say specifically that it's using it to search for people. Now, typically, and we can't verify this because I don't have access to your computer, and what I'm about to say, I certainly don't have access to. But judging by your screenshot, you're selecting filter email. Filter email. That's what you're doing here. Not necessarily using the address book, which I assumed initially, but according to your screenshot, and it's very blurry, but I really appreciate you submitting it. It kind of seems like you're searching through the email itself, which again is locally. And if that's the case, the indexing and the search function itself is going to heavily depend on the speed of your computer. Now, if this was not an issue before and it worked fine before, then you might want to look at the background services to see if there's anything in the background that's using up your computer speed. And I've done this many times in these videos where you open up a task manager and you simply see if there is enough resources available. If you click on performances, sometimes you can have an issue where you have, for example, 16 gigabytes of RAM. You have installed 16 gigabytes of RAM, but suddenly it's showing like half of that. It could mean that one of the RAM sticks died and suddenly your computer's slowing down. Not necessarily the case here, but this could be the situation. The other thing I wanted to mention is when you're searching for people in Outlook, especially if you're using a web version of Outlook. In this case, I know you're not, but just to kind of explain it to you, if it's trying to fetch data from a server that has this cache data for people, if you're searching for people, email addresses as such and such, especially in Office 365, this stuff is going to be stored on a server, on Office 365 server, which could be an issue as well. Now, besides actually having direct access to your computer, looking at all these things that I've mentioned, I'm not sure what else I could do here to help you, unfortunately. You can look at the indexing options here, and you can select modify here, and then you can make sure that things are being indexed. For example, if you see it here when it says local C, and then expand all of this, you can see that in this case, what's indexed right now is just users. All right? And you could try, if you have Office 365, navigate through there, through program files x86, and I don't have Microsoft. I don't have Office 365 installed on this particular computer, but you can navigate to it and just do a check mark like this, click OK, and then that will specifically index all the folder that you've selected and everything inside of it. If you can navigate and find Outlook, specifically Outlook EXE, then you can try that. Unfortunately, I don't have access to it, and it sounds like you tried a lot of things already. See, is this a better picture? No, it's not. That's okay. So, that being said, I would have to have a direct access to your computer in order to resolve this. So, I'm going to. I'm not sure what to do with this ticket here because this is one of those things I can't necessarily just close and call it a day because I haven't resolved the issue and I don't have a definite resolution for you because I'm not honestly I'm not 100% confident that the advice that I've given you would actually resolve your issue because there might be some other factors that I would look at first aside from Outlook because it may not be the Outlook itself that's causing the problem, assuming that you've done all of these things already, which you've already said, repaired Outlook and reinstalled it and all of that. So that being said, I would look at the resources locally and possibly a server being just too slow, but I don't know. Again, your screenshot here is slightly confusing, but you know, I don't know if you're searching for through emails or just for people. I know you said people, but I don't know. I simply don't know. So I'm going to reply to you, and this is a little bit unorthodox. That means unusual. When you're doing help desk, you wouldn't necessarily do this, but in this case, I'm just going to say, please try all the things I've mentioned in the video. It will be released tomorrow. I'm going to leave the ticket open. If you have updated information about your issue, please update the ticket. Thanks. Perfect.